The story of Saint Agnes of Montepulciano unfolds within the religious and cultural landscape of medieval Italy, a period marked by spiritual reform, the growth of religious orders, and a strong emphasis on disciplined, contemplative life. Unlike saints whose lives are defined by political conflict or public martyrdom, her path is shaped by interior development, consistency, and a structured pursuit of union with God. She was born in 1268 in the town of Montepulciano, located in the region of Tuscany. From an early age, Agnes demonstrated a disposition that set her apart. While other children engaged in ordinary activities, she showed a clear inclination toward silence, prayer, and reflection. This was not imposed by external pressure. Rather, it appeared as a natural orientation of her personality. At a very young age, she expressed the desire to dedicate her life entirely to God. Around the age of 9, she asked her parents for permission to enter religious life. Despite her age, her request was taken seriously. She was entrusted to a small community of women living a structured spiritual life, similar to what would later align with Dominican spirituality. This marked the beginning of her formation. Life in the community was disciplined. Daily routines included prayer, annual work, silence, and obedience. Agnes adapted quickly. Her commitment was not superficial. She engaged deeply with the practices and expectations placed before her. Over time, her maturity became evident to those around her. By her mid-teens, she was already recognized for her spiritual clarity. Around the age of 15, she was appointed to lead a new religious house in the town of Proceno. This decision is notable not only because of her age, but because of the level of trust placed in her. Leadership at that stage required not only spiritual depth, but also organizational ability and emotional balance. In her role, Agnes demonstrated restraint and structure. She did not lead through authority alone, but through consistency and example. She organized the life of the community, maintained discipline, and ensured that the routines were followed without unnecessary rigidity. Her leadership style was stable and practical. After some years, she returned to Montepulciano, where she established a new convent. This foundation became central to her life and mission. It was there that her spiritual path reached its fullest expression. Her daily life followed a demanding rhythm. Extended periods of prayer, regular fasting, acts of penance. These practices were not unusual for the time, but in her case, they were carried out with notable intensity. They were understood as means of discipline and spiritual focus, not as ends in themselves. One of the most discussed aspects of her life involves her reported mystical experiences. Accounts from her contemporaries describe moments of deep spiritual absorption, sometimes accompanied by unusual phenomena. These include visions, states of ecstasy, and reports of levitation during prayer. There are also references to unexplained fragrances perceived in the environment during moments of intense devotion. However, these elements did not define her identity. Agnes did not seek attention. She did not promote these experiences. When questioned, she responded with simplicity and restraint. For her, the central focus remained the interior life: prayer, humility, and fidelity. Another defining element of her spirituality was her devotion to the Eucharist. She regarded it as the central point of her life. Participation in the Mass and time spent in adoration were essential components of her daily routine. This focus shaped her understanding of presence, sacrifice, and communion. Her humility was also consistent. Despite her growing reputation, she avoided recognition. She preferred simple tasks within the convent and maintained a posture of service. Her authority did not distance her from others. Instead, it made her more attentive to their needs. As a leader, she remained close to her community. She provided guidance, listened to difficulties, maintained unity. Her leadership was not abstract. It was direct and practical. Her approach to suffering is also significant. The practices of fasting and penance, common in medieval spirituality, were particularly rigorous in her case. These were intended to strengthen discipline and detach from physical comfort. However, such practices contributed to the gradual weakening of her health. Over time, her physical condition declined. Despite this, she did not significantly alter her routine. She continued her practices with consistency. This reflects a spiritual framework centered on perseverance rather than adaptation. There are also reports of miracles associated with her. During her life, people sought her for counsel and intercession. After her death, accounts of healings and other interventions attributed to her began to circulate. These reports contributed to the development of her reputation for sanctity. Agnes died on April 20, 1317, at the age of 49. Her death did not diminish her influence. Instead, her memory became more established. The convent she founded became a place of local devotion. People continued to visit, seeking spiritual guidance and assistance through her intercession. Over time, her reputation extended beyond her immediate region. Her life was studied and recognized within the broader church. Centuries later, she was officially canonized, confirming a devotion that had already been present for generations. Saint Agnes of Montepulciano came to be regarded as a model of contemplative life, discipline, and sustained spiritual focus. Her story presents several notable characteristics. First, her path is primarily interior. She is not associated with major political events or external conflicts. Her significance lies in consistency, repetition, and depth. Second, her early commitment is unusual. She made decisive choices at a young age and maintained them throughout her life. This continuity suggests a strong alignment between intention and action. Third, her leadership developed early and remained stable. She managed responsibilities that typically require experience, yet did so effectively. This indicates both personal capacity and the trust of her community. Fourth, her relationship with mystical phenomena is marked by restraint. While such experiences are often emphasized in narratives, she did not center her identity on them. This distinction is important in understanding her overall approach. Fifth, her life integrates contemplation and responsibility. Although she lived within a convent, her actions had concrete effects, organizing communities, guiding individuals, and maintaining structure. Her story also raises questions about the balance between discipline and physical well-being. The intensity of her practices reflects the norms of her time, but also illustrates the potential cost of sustained austerity. In a broader sense, her life offers a contrast to contemporary patterns. Modern contexts often prioritize speed, visibility, and constant change. Agnes represents stability, repetition, and long-term commitment. She did not seek novelty. She did not pursue influence. She remained consistent. This consistency forms the core of her legacy. She did not produce extensive theological writings. She did not lead large movements, but she built something enduring, a structured life, a stable community, and a model of disciplined spirituality. Her influence persists not through dramatic events, but through continuity. Saint Agnes of Montepulciano remains a reference point for those interested in contemplative practice and sustained spiritual focus. Her life suggests that depth is achieved not through isolated actions, but through repeated, consistent engagement over time. Her story is not defined by visible achievements, but by internal coherence. Not by rapid transformation, but by gradual formation. Not by prominence, but by persistence. This pattern explains why her legacy continues. It is not dependent on context. It is based on structure, and that structure rooted in discipline, humility, and fidelity remains applicable across different periods. Her life concludes without dramatic closure. There is no singular defining event at the end. Instead, there is continuity until death. And it is precisely this continuity that gives her story its enduring form. Pray for us, Saint Agnes of Montepulciano. Comment what you thought of the story. If you liked it, leave a like. If you are interested in stories like this, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your company. Enjoy and listen to our playlist of daily readings. May God bless this beautiful day.